Okay, so we created our network, we have it running. Now let's actually test it out. Let's make sure we have everything up and running. We'll do a Docker PS. And you'll see that this actually created another image. So besides our regular Docker images that we have running, that's basically the Hyperledger Fabric, it created a peer for us image, and it actually is running as well. So it looks like everything is up and running, which is great. And this is where we will use our Composer REST server. Composer REST server is really neat. Lets us test everything out. I highly recommend it. I use it a lot for development. We need our admin card that we just created. We'll say never use namespaces and just take the defaults for everything else. And it should start up the REST server and give us an address. So the address here is localhost 3000. So let's go ahead and go into localhost 3000. And here it is. So we have, you'll see our transactions of delivered and in transit that we created. We also have query, which has all of our queries that we created in the code, as well as our different kinds of assets and participants. So we need to create an asset and a participant in order to really test this out. So let's go ahead and create a shipper first. And we can go in here. This is kind of neat because I can just kind of click in here and it brings, fills in everything for me automatically. So let's give it a company ID of ship1 and company name, say Two Brothers Shipping. And we'll just click try it out here. Get a response 200, that's always good. It succeeded. Company ID SH1 Two Brothers Shipping. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and copy this class because we're going to need that. Remember that we use SH1 as the company ID. And let's go ahead and create an asset. So create a package. Same kind of model here. We'll give it a package ID of P1, customer ID of C1, and we'll give it the owner. This is where we fill in our shipping is S1, if we remember that. So let's go ahead and submit that post request. And we get a response 200. So we have now a package created and it is linked to our participant of the shipper. So I should be able to start doing some queries and running my transactions as well. So let's go ahead and do a query. Select packages. We should just have the one. And it ran, and yes, we do. So it shows that we have one package, and it is actually owned here by the shipper S1. So let's go ahead and run a transactions because right now it's the status is created. So we just created it. It's not really in transit yet. Let's go ahead and try one of our transactions. Let's try it. Move it to in transit. So we go ahead and click that over here. We need to give it a package, and the package would be, let's say, or Acme tracking dot package P1. And you don't need this transaction and timestamp, so let's get rid of the transaction and timestamp fields and just see if we can move this now package to in transit. Try it out. Looks like it worked. Response code 200. It says in transit, ran our in transit class. So we should be able to go back and try our query again. You see this was our previous query where it said created. Let's go ahead and just run that again, and you can see it updated to in transit. So we just tested that out. We tested out our one of our transactions. We could do the same thing, test the other transaction, make sure that works. And everything hopefully should work fine. We're basically testing our code. And this is a really good, this Composer REST server, great way to to do debugging and actually see your code working. If you do get an error, one of the things you can do is actually go back. Here it is, the window, and you can see some of the errors will all appear kind of in this in this window for the Explorer. So actually, if I actually ran a package, and let's say I wanted to do let's say I wanted to go ahead and update this again. If I was going to update it in transit, but actually let's say I gave it a different name, something like this, or even this, and I tried it out. I got a response code of 500. Now that's an error, and you can see it kind of gave me I can kind of look in here and say object with org tracking dot package and collection does not exist. So I can kind of go back to this window and it tells me it doesn't exist. So I may not get that actually from the REST server. Kind of hard to tell, with this response code. But in here, it actually shows up. So that's kind of a neat little trick, is to keep that window open, and you can actually see what's going on in there. So we'll try a couple other queries, make sure our queries actually work, and let's try select packages by customer. In this case, we only need to put a customer ID in. So let's say I want to see, customer calls me up and says, hey, where's my package? That sort of thing. I can list customer ID. Try that out. That tells me, oh, your package is in transit. If it had multiple packages, it would list that as well. So, kind of wrapping up here, that definitely check out the REST server. Simple code. When you actually copy one of the sample codes, keep it simple. Copy one of the sample codes that they give you on Git. Again, the link for that will be in the description underneath this video. Start from there and make it your own. Go ahead and create your own logic, create your own model file here, and your own different queries, and experiment with those a little bit.